Do you ever feel overwhelmed by all of the tools that you need for art? Like, you don't know which tools you need, which ones are best to use. I used to feel the same way. Like, I needed the perfect pen, or the perfect paint, or the perfect paper. I remember spending hours just researching supplies, convinced that if I found the one perfect thing, that my art would be fantastic. But every time I found something, I felt stuck. Then I realized that it's actually not about finding the perfect tool. It's about what the process is. It's about bringing them together. Like, what surface do I choose? What medium am I gonna use? How I'm gonna add details and textures to make it pop. Once I started focusing on that, then the art became more like me. Every piece of art starts with a surface. So then I have to decide, what surface am I gonna use? Is it gonna be just a canvas? Is it gonna be just some regular, paper over here? Or do I need to pull out my art journal? And I chose this kind of paper because it will do watercolor and mixed media, but some like just regular sketch pads, let's see, like this, I mean, that's not gonna hold that. So you kind of need that to match. Or watercolor. My teacher told me specifically I have this upside down. What size, what kind of watercolor paper I needed to get, and it had to be a certain grain and all this kind of stuff. I don't know all the difference. I mean, I can just get other watercolor papers. I'm sure, when you get more and more into a specific style of art, then those kinds of mediums may become more and more important. But as a beginner artist, just choose something. Don't let the material be the thing that holds you back. Now we need a medium to use. Like, we have the surface. Now what are we gonna put on the surface? Like, do I use my paints? These are some acrylic paints. Do I use these? These are some little watercolors. Do I use these? Maybe I wanna go with markers, right? Maybe I want to go with crayons. Okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe I want to go with just a pencil. Look at all these pencils. Maybe I need to go with a specific type of pencil, right? Like, there's so many different to choose from. The point is, it doesn't matter which one that you have. You just choose one. Pick up something. When you see an art that inspires you, think about, what surface did they have? What material were they using when they did that? Did they have colored pencils, right? This is all of my art. I've got even, these are acrylic pens. And one of the types of art I really enjoy are mixed media. So just pulling even just scrapbook paper, and you can just tear out things in magazines or whatever, and using that as your tool. You can come up with so many creative ideas. Comment one of your favorite mediums for you to use in your art. Next, you want a way to add details to your painting. It could be through erasers, or even like when I do watercolor, I'll put salt on it and it takes up some of the paint and it leaves more of a white space. You can get creative with the things that you use to make those little details. It could be a fine tip brush, like when I created my meditation painting in watercolor, I used a very fine brush to get a lot of those details. You can use gel pens, like one that came in my watercolor set was this extra fine tip, and it's been amazing. It helps to outline everything. Just makes everything pop to have that extra added detail. You also have palette knives that you can use to do different textures with. I actually tried to paint with a palette knife and it worked out terribly. And you can watch me do that in this video that I created recently about the friendship tree. Painting with it with acrylics was not ideal. You really need something that's going to have a lot more material, or like is a lot thicker to be able to use that knife with. But it can be for carving things. You can use fine liners to outline your work, or you can even use specific skills like cross hatching, stippling, and tiny patterns in your drawings to add that extra detail. And then the last thing that you need is a way to add texture. Texture can give your art personality. You can make thick strokes. You can do watercolor lifting, where you put just some clear water on your brush and press it to the paper to kind of pick up the paint that you've dropped. A collage, where you can layer torn paper, fabric. You can do blending and smudging, even just using your fingers to smear it a little bit. I've done that with some watercolor, but my favorite way to do that is with pastels. You can also try unconventional tools like sponges or toothbrushes, bubble wrap. I recently did this watercolor painting where I just use different caps to put the black paint on there and then do the watercolor around it. I was just playing around. This was just something I did for fun. The big takeaway here is that there is no right way to do art. The best tools aren't the most expensive ones. They're the ones that get you excited about creating. So which one of these are you gonna try? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, that means you probably enjoyed this video. So give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you haven't seen my last two videos in this For the Love of Art series, go check that out. Keep building your creative confidence and go master your next moment.